So this workshop is co-organized by the African Natural Resource Center at the African Development Bank, the OCP Policy Center in Rabat, Morocco, and the CAPSARC Policy Center from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The theme is local content policies for new producing countries in Africa. We think this topic is very important for several reasons. Local content policies are in increasing demand from African governments. At the African Natural Resource Center, we surveyed the legal and policy framework of the 54 African countries and found out that at least 46 have legal or policy requirements for local content. That tells you how important the issue is at the policy level. From an economic point of view, while natural resources have been the driving force of the economy on Africa, there is little development outcome that countries can show for it. So we think there is also an economic imperative to develop successful local content policies. So the major potential benefits of successful local content policies are private sector development. African countries can capitalize on the supply chain of these large extractive projects to develop their local small and medium enterprise. To do that, you need an understanding of what are these supply mechanisms and how local companies can apply. So at the African Natural Resource Center, we help countries to analyze the domestic markets and the international markets and assess the supply chain, the procurement books of international companies, to build capacity of local companies so that they can compete and bid for these international contracts. Okay, the key challenges to local content are the capacity of the local private sector, the access to energy and transport infrastructure, as well as the structure of the international markets. Multinational companies, by essence, supply goods and services internationally, so it is counterintuitive for them to supply goods locally. They normally have procurement contracts for a long period of time for all the operations around the world. So there needs to be this policy dialogue between African governments and international investors to facilitate that dialogue. And this is one thing that we do at the African Natural Resource Center. We have developed a tool for local content policy for African countries at the African Natural Resource Center. We think this tool is very holistic and provides a step-by-step approach to local content policy implementation and formulation. This tool helps policymakers to understand all the issues that need to take into consideration when developing a local content policy. This includes the policy and the legal framework, the microeconomic environment, the implementation modalities, the role of various stakeholders. So at the ANRC, we have developed this local content policy formulation tool, and we are currently implementing it in several countries in Africa. The two countries that we invited here for the workshop at the OCP Policy Centers are Guinea and Tanzania. There are major developments in the mining sector in Guinea, in the gas sector in Tanzania, and these two countries are developing local content policies with the support of the African Natural Resource Center.